A popular new video game actually allows you to be a terrorist and kill people.
Video games contribute to a culture of violence.
Tonight, a warning from the experts.
There are many risks involved in playing violent video games.
The statement video games cause violence, I think, was said by every single news reporter between the 2000s and the 2010s. I mean, I don't really remember getting them over here in England, but in American news, it felt like it was the only thing that they were discussing when they were talking about video games. And it all started with one game. Mortal Kombat. You see, this game wasn't your typical Super Mario Bros. Stay at home, chill with your friends, have fun kind of game. Nah, in this game, you tear off people's heads! And because of this, many news stations would talk about the game. And believe it or not, and this was actually a shock to me, they were actually quite chill at first. They talked about how it was a much more violent game for the time, which it was, and they were also talking about an introduction of a game rating system. You see, that's fine, they spoke all the facts, they were just being honest and reporting on the game like they should do. But soon after, they went right off the fucking rails.
When you're watching a TV show, you're a witness to an act of violence. When you play one of these games, you are the murderer. You have your hand on the trigger.
What? Look, I understand that sometimes the media likes to lie and stretch the truth a little bit to get that good story, but some of the shit they say, you wouldn't believe it.
The Norway killer trained on those. He said he trained on them. 69 dead on an island in Norway, and he spent a year training on video games to prepare himself for this crime.
What the fuck does that even mean? You cannot become a Navy SEAL just because you played COD. I have no idea how people think this can correspond to this. I'd also like to point out, the bloke's talking about like he trained on these games because they're so realistic and he could train to commit these violent acts. But then the footage of the game is to do jumping around with a crossbow. And I also love how it's just simply outlined how much of a bullshit argument this all is.
The consumption of these violent video games has been going up continuously since the early 90s, and yet youth violence has been going down since the early 90s. The correlation actually doesn't fit.
It is that fucking simple. Number on youth crime go down, number of video game go up. It's that simple.
But what's the aim of the game?
Well, you want to be the last man standing at the end of it.
So what's the aim of the game?
To kill all the other players in the game.
Correct. So how does that compare, Sandy, to a game of footy with your mates?
Yeah, because no one's ever got hurt playing sports before. It's not even just violence they go after. Like this woman talking about Mass Effect.
And here's how they're seeing women. They're seeing them as these objects of desire, as these, hot bodies. I mean, they don't show women as being valued for anything other than their sexuality.
Cooper, have you ever played Mass Effect?
No.
It's nice to know we've got experts covering these subjects. And she's not even the only one. Do you remember that Anita Sarkeesian? How her whole channel was just saying that every single video game was sexist. And one of her biggest reasonings for this was because these games had virtual strip clubs.
This is so hot.
And I understand she's probably against them in real life. I am too. I think they're fucking weird. But at the same time, they're imitating life and they're never really a big part of the game. They're just kind of there. I don't think a game's ever really told me, go there, get a lot. They don't do that. But anyway, back on topic. Why do news reporters hate games so much? Why do they believe there's a connection to fictional violence and real life violence? Answer, they're stupid. Like this guy. He says that when you watch a TV show or a movie and there's an act of violence, that desensitizes you to witnessing violence in real life. But because in a video game you play as the murderer, you play as the killer, he thinks that you'll become desensitized to killing people in real life. No. I'm sorry, but I've never played No Russian and thought, I'm gonna make that family trip to Florida an unforgettable one. When you kill someone in a game, you don't then want to kill someone in real life. And a lot of other gamers have expressed this opinion, and some have even done it on the news.
Yeah, Jenny, gamers here tell us they're tired of hearing that video games cause violence, and they say now it's game over for that argument. Jimerson says he doesn't mind his son seeing the violence because Adrian knows it's just a game.
I tell him, there's a difference. This is all animated, it's not real.
People have a good sense of what's real and what's not real. You play a video game, you don't go out and kill people.
Okay, but then why do so many psychologists say the complete opposite thing? The answer is simple. They're covering up bad parenting. For example, this woman believes that violent video games caused her son's aggression, but she takes no responsibility for what she's done.
He plays when he wants, where he wants, and for as long as he wants.
He has stayed on for up to 20 hours. He never comes out of his room to eat with us, but he will yell out from his room, peasant, bring me a plate. The two games that he really likes to play the most are Grand Theft Auto and Fortnite.
Okay, so let me just break this down. You let him play for as long as he wants. You do everything he demands of you. You've even let him play GTA 5, an 18 rated game, and you've seen all this evidence, you've gathered it all up, and you say, wait, it's the game's fault. This is also something I'll never understand. News reporters often say we need to ban violent video games because they're corrupting the minds of our children. But why are you buying these violent video games for your kids? Like, I'm not an idiot. If you give your kid, you know, like 2-year-old kid, GTA 5, yeah, they may become violent. They may think it's an acceptable way to act. But why are you buying a 2-year-old GTA 5? Like, I understand this may have been a bit of an issue back when the ratings board wasn't a thing for video games, but nowadays, every single violent video game comes with a big red warning saying fuck off fetuses. And even if your kid does get a violent video game, take it away from them. Maybe sit down with your child, talk about the game, talk about why they like the game. You can even look up for free on the internet the game your kids want to play so you know everything that's in them. But no, they won't do that. They'll just go on Dr. Phil and say it's the big mean video game company's fault and then just say, I might not be the best parent.
Josh says he's playing up to 60 hours a week.
Okay, but that's not the game's fault, that's just bad parenting. Okay, let me tell you a little story about how I got to play my first violent video game. I was quite young at the time, maybe 10, 11, somewhere around that age, and I asked her, could I play the newest Call of Duty that had come bundled with the PS3? And my mum just sat me down at the dinner table and had a 5-minute conversation about how these games aren't real. If you kill someone in real life, you go to prison. And unlike in the game, if you die, you do not come back. And you will not be playing these games 24/7. That's all she said. And since then, never had an issue. Do you see how easy that is? All you have to do is sit down and talk to your children. But of course, like I said before, it's a lot easier just to blame the video games than to just sit down with your child and have a maybe awkward conversation. And it's even got so bad that people have started to blame video games for mass killings.
The video game industry must take some accountability.
They're deliberately marketing violent entertainment to children.
Yeah, of course it is. That's why there's an 18 on the box, isn't it? And let's just forget how easy it is to get access to weapons. Like, yes, I understand some people have watched movies, have played a game, and have been influenced to do these terrible things. I get that. But I think we need to acknowledge that almost all those people had pre-existing mental health issues. They were not someone who was corrupted by these games. They were people that were probably already going to do these terrible things. And because of these painfully obvious facts, there's so many people writing studies that say video games don't cause violence, news reporters have started to say some new stuff. They've now shifted over to start bitching about video game addiction.
This week, a 9-year-old made headlines for wetting herself in bed rather than leaving the game.
Wait, that's not normal? Obviously, video game addiction is real. Too much of anything is bad for you, I understand that wholeheartedly. But at the same time, yet again, it's not the developer's fault, it's yours. If you really are worried about your kid playing too much video games, get involved. So many apps now help parents with stuff like this, with having like time limits on how long kids can play for. But again, it's a lot easier to just stick up your middle finger and say fuck video games than it is to just talk to your children. But enough of all that shit, because I actually want to try and figure out, why do news reporters hate games so much? And the reason, again, is simple. It's what they've always done. And I'm not even just talking about how they used to say that Mario was teaching your kids how to fucking kill turtles. I'm saying it's what they've done with every form of new entertainment. You know how people call like Skibidi Toilet and all that shit brain rot? They used to say that about books. They called books brain rot. They called movies brain rot. They called TV shows brain rot. And video games is just the newest thing they're calling brain rot. It's what they've always done because, like I said before, it's much easier to just blame that new thing that people like on the world's problems. As of right now, though, it feels like reporters have like died down on it. Like, yeah, you do get the occasional, the newest Call of Duty is turning your kid into a psychopath. But it's always died down because, like everything else I've said, it comes down to good parenting. You know, when I started this channel, I never thought parent your kids would ever be a message that I would say, but here we are. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the video where a guy just rambles off about stupid news reports and tells other people how to raise their kids as a 17-year-old and without kids. When this video goes up, it's been my birthday already, so I'll be expecting those birthday wishes and $1,000 donations down below, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Welcome to Fortnite.